Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different.
Yeah, instead of juggling multiple sources, we're going deep, really deep.
Exactly. We are plunging into just one single, but truly extraordinary primary source document. It's one that, honestly, it sort of defines an entire era of this kind of exploration.
It really does.
So get ready, because this might just rewire how you think about, well, everything. Time, history, maybe even yourself.
Definitely. And for this deep dive, we're focusing laser-like on Session 3 of the Early Sessions Book 1 of Seth Material.
And this specific one, it was recorded way back, Friday, December 6th, 1963, at 9 p.m., a very specific starting point.
Yep, precise.
Our mission today, it's crystal clear. We're your guides, basically. We want to pull out the most profound and sometimes, yeah, pretty chilling insights from this super early communication.
And we'll try to keep a moderate pace, not rush through it, but we won't shy away from the weight of the ideas.
Right. Approach it with a bit of, let's say, lighthearted curiosity, even when it gets intense.
And importantly, before we really jump in, we need to state this clearly.
Yes, the mandatory bit.
This deep dive, like all our work here, is distributed completely free of charge. You can find it on all the major platforms, and it's purely for educational purposes.
Absolutely. Our goal is just to make this fascinating, sometimes complex material accessible. No barriers.
So everyone can be informed.
Okay, let's set the scene. Paint a picture for us. December 1963. What was it actually like in that room?
Well, it was very controlled, almost simple in a way. Quiet room, shades drawn, just two soft lights, very minimalist. And they were still heavily using that communications board,
The Ouija-style board, spelling things out letter by letter.
That's the one. But here's the kicker, Jane. The medium, she was already facing this huge internal conflict.
Right, this is the famous procedural dilemma, isn't it? She was getting the answers before the board spelled them out.
Instantly. Like, bam, the info was just in her head. Complex stuff sometimes, shockingly specific details. But she was, skeptical, even of herself. So she insisted on sticking with the board, using it as a way to verify what she was getting mentally.
That detail is so crucial, I think. It shows they weren't just, making things up or going with the first impression.
Not at all. They were trying to be rigorous, even if the method seems cumbersome now. They were testing it.
Testing the information against their own minds,
Yes.
Essentially. It speaks volumes about that early skepticism, wanting objectivity.
Totally.
So, amidst all this internal debate and careful procedure, what was the actual question that kicked off this incredibly deep session?
It was almost mundane, really, like checking if the line was open, just, "Are you there, Frank Watts?" FW for short.
And the reply?
A simple, confident yes. And that one word, it just opened the floodgates. Launched one of the most revealing early sessions, period.
Okay, so Frank Watts is there, confirmed. And they don't waste any time, do they? They jump straight into the really big existential stuff.
Straight in. First question. Where are you now, Frank Watts?
And the answer?
Super abstract at first. Just space.
Space? Okay. But not.
Right. They immediately clarify it's not space as we know space here on Earth. And this is where you got to slow down, because that clarification defines the whole cosmology they're starting to build.
So if it's not astronomical space, not the vacuum between planets and stars,
yeah,
it's purely dimensional then, outside our usual maps.
Exactly. It's a state of being, maybe, rather than a physical place.
Which logically leads to the next question, right?
Yeah.
If physical location rules are out, what about time?
Yep. They ask, does this dimension have time like we experience it? Tick-tock, linear, one thing after another. The answer is just a clear, definitive no.
No linear time. Okay, let's really unpack that, because that's huge. What does that even mean for consciousness, for perception, if time isn't a straight line?
Well, it turns everything on its head, doesn't it? If there's no linear time, consciousness wouldn't be stuck in a single now. It could, theoretically, access all moments at once.
Like seeing the whole film strip instead of just one frame.
Kind of. Or like seeing the entire river, the source, the rapids, the delta, all simultaneously instead of just floating down it. Past, present, future. They're not sequential points anymore.
They're more like locations in consciousness.
Yeah, simultaneous locations within this unified field of awareness. So things like past trauma or future potential aren't gone or yet to come. They just are accessible aspects of the whole.
Which makes our experience here on Earth seem deliberately limited then? Like we agree to wear these blinders of linear time to focus.
That's exactly the implication. Our
Yeah.
focused sequential life is an exercise in limitation, designed so we can isolate and learn specific things, experience specific emotions intensely.
We are, in FW's later terms, a compartment of consciousness.
Precisely. And being in space, for FW, means those compartments, those walls, dissolve. It's a return to what he calls the whole mind.
Where the separation needed for Earth life is gone. Unified perception.
Right. Which reframes the whole point of being here, doesn't it? It's less about getting somewhere else and more about the quality of this focused, limited experience itself.
It's a paradox. We limit ourselves to gain focused data for the unlimited part of ourselves.
Wow. And FW confirms this isn't just his experience. He says all souls go to space after physical life. It's presented as a universal part of the process.
A consistent cosmology, rejecting our physical rules of space and time.
That consistency is key. But then, the conversation takes this sharp turn, doesn't it? From grand, abstract cosmology
To really specific personal stuff,
Yep.
like counting beans.
Exactly. They ask Frank Watts how many times he's been incarnated on Earth.
And he gives a specific number.
3 times.
Okay.
And then comes the first bombshell for the people in the room. FW confirms that both of them, the questioner and Jane, have also lived on Earth exactly 3 times.
Whoa. Same number. 3 lives each.
Right. And the immediate follow-up obviously is.
Did we know each other back then?
And the answer is a definite yes.
So their current connection, this intense work they're doing together, isn't random. It's a continuation.
It's built on multiple previous contacts, potentially across centuries or millennia. It grounds their present relationship in this incredibly deep history, foundational stuff.
But then there's a limit, right?
Yeah.
Right after establishing this deep link.
Yeah, FW hits a wall. They ask him, okay, so how many more lives do we have to go through here? What's the total count for Earth? He just says, no, can't provide it.
That no is almost more interesting than the yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests that even from that non-linear space, he's not all-knowing.
Totally. It implies the future isn't set in stone. Past lives, that's data, recorded history,
Yeah.
accessible from the nonlinear view.
The future.
The future's still being written. It's fluid, constantly shaped by the choices made now in this linear compartment life. So FW can't just read the whole script because it's not finished.
Which powerfully reinforces the idea of free will. Our choices right now actually matter. They shape what's coming.
Exactly. It means this communication itself isn't just dictation from on high. It's a dynamic process, a shared learning experience.
Okay, so now we pivot from the big cosmic picture to, well, incredibly specific stories. The life reading.
Yeah, this is where it gets really detailed. The questioner asks for their breakdown, and FW gives it. 3 lives total. He says male 2, female 1.
And they decide to focus on that one female life, designated life number 1.
And the level of detail here, it's just, oh, well, it's what makes this material grab you. It's not vague pronouncements, it's names, places, specifics.
The name itself is striking, isn't it? Mother Rest.
So unusual. And FW apparently adds that the name Rest was gratis information, like unsolicited, just offered up as a fact.
Rightus. Huh. Not a name you bump into every day, especially
Huh.
not for someone from antiquity.
And she was a mother, 4 children, and he names them Peter, Reba, Worth, and Esther.
Peter and Esther, okay, fairly common. But Reba, Worth, they're quite specific, sort of archaic.
Exactly. You have to ask, if this is just dredged up from the subconscious, why these particular slightly obscure names? It adds this layer of strangeness, authenticity, maybe?
It's the weight of all these specifics together, and then the location and time period that really sets a scene.
Oh, yeah. Mother Rest apparently lived in the BC 4th century.
A 4th century BC.
In a region called Mesopotamia near a city called Sepia.
Mesopotamia, Sepia. Are those known places?
Well, Mesopotamia sounds like Mesopotamia, maybe.
Right.
Sepia, less clear. But the key thing is FW apparently assured them places there. He insisted it was real. So we're picturing a life thousands of years ago in this ancient, maybe slightly vaguely defined, but historically plausible region
And she had a husband.
named Stephen. Though interestingly, FW couldn't confirm what Stephen did for a living. Another small detail, another limit to the knowledge.
You have this whole ancient family unit sketched out in just a few lines. Mother Rest, Stephen, Peter, Reba, Worth, Esther. In 4th century BC Mesopotamia, it's incredibly vivid.
Astonishingly vivid. And it gets even more interconnected when they ask about Frank Watts's role back then.
Did FW know Mother Rest?
Yes. He says he was a relative. Specifically, he was Mother Rest's sister named Mary.
So the questioner's past female self, Mother Rest, had a sister named Mary, who is now the entity Frank Watts communicating through the board. That's a mind-bender.
It establishes this direct personal link across millennia, but then comes the absolute bombshell, the detail that connects these early sessions to everything that followed.
The big one.
They ask about Jane, the medium. Was she known to them back then in Mesopotamia?
Yeah, and
Yes. And her relationship to Mother Rest. FW says Jane was the brother of mine, meaning brother to Mother Rest.
Ian was Mother Rest's brother. And his name.
To Seth.
There it is, just dropped in. Not as this powerful entity, but as an ancient brother from Mesopotamia.
Isn't that incredible, the casualness of it? For the questioner and Jane, this must have been electrifying. It validates the contact in this deeply personal way, linking it directly to their history, and introduces the name, the personality that would become central.
It gives legitimacy to everything that comes later. Wow.
And FW doesn't stop there. He even throws in 2 more siblings from that life, Tenor and Quentin.
Tenor and Quentin.
Yeah.
More unusual names.
And the family's last name, son of Robin, like Peter, son of Robin, Seth, son of Robin.
It paints this picture, doesn't it? This ancient, maybe agricultural family. A whole forgotten cast of characters.
It's a tapestry of names. But, you know, the most dramatic details often come at the end, the endings of these lives.
Right. Mortality back then. How did Mother Rest's life end?
Fairly young, sadly. Age 35, cause of death, pneumonia.
Pneumonia? Okay. Tragic, common enough for the time, plausible.
Plausible, yes. Quietly tragic. But Seth's death, Jane's past life persona, is anything but quiet.
How did Seth die?
He lived longer to 53, but he died from an attack.
An attack? By what or who?
FW clarifies. And this is the detail that just sends chills down your spine. He says, animals, wolves, 5.
5 wolves.
Not just attacked by wolves, 5 wolves.
You can almost picture it. It's so specific, so violent. Why that detail?
Exactly. Why not just animal attack? The specificity makes it stick. It feels like a scene from, I don't know, some epic movie. It suggests maybe it was a really significant traumatic end.
Maybe carrying unresolved energy.
That's the question it raises. The contrast between the mundane death from pneumonia and this dramatic cinematic death by wolves. It feels like a marker, a signpost pointing from that ancient life to the present moment.
Which is exactly where the conversation goes next, isn't it? Linking past lives to present issues.
Precisely. Having laid out this incredibly specific historical groundwork, FW immediately starts connecting the dots, linking those ancient lives, those experiences, to the current psychological makeup of the questioner and Jane.
So it shifts from history lesson to, well, almost a psychic therapy session.
Kind of, yeah. And this is where it gets really practical, maybe even useful for listeners thinking about their own patterns.
So what's the assessment for the questioner, the host speaker of these sessions?
FW identifies a key challenge: too much isolation.
Isolation. Okay. Does he say why?
He does. He traces the mechanism. This tendency towards aloofness, he says, leads to unsympathetic attitudes, you know, a lack of connection or empathy.
Right. And the root cause?
This is fascinating. He calls it overcompensation. FW explains that the questioner's first life, way back, was overly worldly.
Overly worldly, meaning?
Too caught up in the material world, perhaps. Too engaged, maybe scattered. So the current life is presented as this swing in the opposite direction, towards too much withdrawal, too much solitude.
Okay, but let me push back slightly. If the questioner is an artist, isn't some isolation, well, necessary for focus, contemplation, doing the actual work?
That's a great point, and FW actually addresses that nuance. He doesn't condemn solitude outright.
All right.
He says some isolation is, quote, necessary and good, especially for the kind of expansion needed before creating something. But the key is the too much, the overcompensation.
So it's about balance.
Exactly. When the isolation leads to being unsympathetic, it's gone too far. It's not productive retreat anymore. It's become a block, a failure to bring the inner expansion back out. The final advice is clear. You must expand consecunius.
Expand consciousness. So retreat to gain insight, but then you have to expand outwards, connect, apply it. It's a cycle.
Beautifully put. Retreating to gather, then expanding from that gathered insight, not just retreating from the world.
Makes sense. And does FW link this directly to the art?
He does. He says the isolation isn't the only reason the questioner is an artist, but it's tied into this quest for ascending knowledge.
Ascending knowledge. I like that phrase. It elevates art beyond just making pretty things. It's a knowledge quest.
Right. And when they ask if this quest will actually succeed, the answer is an encouraging yes, but with a condition, a warning almost. FW stresses Humility only steps of knowledge, not one big step.
Ah, so watch the ego. Progress comes through continuous humble steps, not giant leaps of genius.
Exactly. A caution against inflation, especially when you're dealing with potentially profound insights.
And the purpose of the art itself. Does he say what it's for?
He gives it this amazing cosmic purpose. The art, he says, will convey images of immortality, glimpses of other dimensions.
Wow. So the art becomes the bridge, the way the isolated consciousness shares its ascending knowledge and expands outward.
That's the idea, translating those nonlinear other dimensional glimpses into physical form.
Okay, incredible. Now what about Jane, the medium? Her assessment must be different.
Completely different, almost the mirror image. First, her abilities are confirmed. She is getting messages directly because she's a medium and also, interestingly, a poet.
A poet. Why add that?
Maybe acknowledging her skill with language, her ability to translate these abstract, sometimes nonverbal psychic impressions into words. A poet's sensitivity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But her weakness. If the questioner's is isolation.
Hers is the opposite. Too much aggression.
Aggression. Okay. Where does that come from?
And here's where you get this incredibly sophisticated psychological insight, especially for 1963. FW explains the aggression isn't from strength. It stems from a deep internal conflict, his words. Timidity has roots of rage.
Timidity has roots of rage. Wow. That sounds like something out of a modern psychology textbook. The aggressive exterior protecting a fearful, angry core.
Exactly. A protective shell built from unresolved fear and anger. And the source of that rage...
Let me guess. Past lives.
Bingo. The deep cause is explicitly stated as previous hates unresolved.
Previous hates unresolved. That's heavy. So residue from old conflicts, maybe even that Mesopotamian life, the wolves. It's bubbling up now as aggression.
That's the implication. It's a serious karmic assessment, and the message is urgent. This must be conquered now.
How?
Through the adjustment of free will on this plane, Jane has to consciously choose to dismantle that rage to address the underlying timidity.
So again, FW identifies the root cause, even traces it back centuries.
But the solution, the actual work, has to be done by Jane now, using her free will in this life. It underscores the importance of the present moment for resolving these deep patterns.
Did Jane ask for specifics, like which exact hates are we talking about?
She did, and FW immediately drew the boundary.
What did he say?
The message was simple and firm. No information direct permitted.
Not permitted. Why not?
Presumably because giving her the specific historical details would bypass the necessary work. She needs to discover it, confront it, choose to change it herself. Getting the answers handed to her would negate the free will challenge.
The knowledge is there to prompt the work, not replace it.
Exactly. The diagnosis is provided, but the cure relies entirely on the individual's choice and effort.
Okay, so after these really intense personal deep dives into their psychology and past lives, the conversation shifts back again, doesn't it? Back to the bigger picture, focusing on Frank Watts himself.
Yeah, they circle back to trying to understand his nature, his state of being. They ask him, effectively, who's in charge of you now? What's running the show?
And the answer?
Singular and powerful. Yes.
Mind.
Mind. Okay, but what does that mean? Just his mind.
He clarifies, and this clarification is absolutely fundamental to the whole Seth philosophy that develops later. He says the mind is whole, no compartments.
Whole, no compartments. Let's pause on that. We talked about Earth life being a compartment, so this stays the opposite.
Exactly. If our personality, our ego in this life is like focusing intensely on one chapter, one compartment, then the whole mind is like the entire library, or maybe the consciousness of the author who contains all the chapters, all the lives, simultaneously.
So death isn't an ending, it's a dissolving of the walls between the chapters.
That's the concept. The boundaries dissolve, and the identity expands to include the awareness and data from all previous compartments, all lives. It's returned to a state of unified, complete awareness, which completely redefines identity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You aren't just this life. You're the totality, the whole mind that experienced all of them.
Precisely, a return to fullness. And FW confirms his current form, how he's communicating, isn't physical at all. It's thought waves, time currents.
Thought waves and time currents. So he's operating on this really fundamental level of consciousness and, well, maybe physics, manipulating perception itself.
It seems so. Interacting through the fabric of mind and nonlinear time. Not a ghost rattling chains, but an intelligence interfacing through fundamental forces.
And he gives that fascinating rule about perception, too. What was it?
Ah, yeah, only same as a rule.
Only same, see same. meaning you have to be in a similar state, a similar vibration, to perceive something.
That's the implication. You wouldn't see FW with your physical eyes unless your consciousness was somehow attuned to his state, his dimension. If they were in space, they would have to see him. It's about vibrational alignment, not just being in the right spot.
Makes sense. It's a state of being, not a postcode.
Right. And he even offers a hint about why he's bothering to communicate at all, which is surprisingly humble, actually.
What does he say?
He says something like, if he saw all, if he knew absolutely everything, he wouldn't be interested in communication.
Huh. So the fact that he's communicating implies he's still learning, still exploring.
Exactly. It suggests the communication itself is part of his own process, his own expansion. He doesn't have all the answers, which makes the engagement with the physical plane meaningful for him, too.
And his preferred topics reinforce that serious intent, right?
Absolutely. He states his interest is in psychic truths, dimensions of knowledge. It's clear this isn't about trivial predictions or gossip. It's core metaphysical teaching.
Okay, so from the nature of FW, they naturally move to the nature of, well, the transition. Death itself.
Yeah, the mechanics of it. Do you know instantly when you die?
What's the answer? A lot of people probably assume it's lights out or instant heaven.
FW says, not always. It's often a confusing time to get bearings. Consciousness absolutely continues, but the immediate realization that you've physically died isn't guaranteed.
So it's not a switch flip, but a process of cognitive adjustment.
That's exactly how it's described, a process of gradual realization achieved through stages of withdrawal and arrival.
Withdrawal and arrival, like slowly detaching from the physical focus and gradually becoming aware of the new non-physical environment.
Yeah, like waking up slowly in a completely different reality where the rules are different. You have to consciously reorient yourself. Get your bearings, as he said.
And is this transition done alone? Or
Crucially, no. This is a really comforting part. They are greeted by acquaintances from other lives.
wow, so the people you knew before, Mother Est, Mary, Seth perhaps, they're there to meet you.
That's the picture painted. It ties back beautifully to the personalized history. The bonds you formed across lives are the very connections that help guide you through that transition.
That makes the idea of death
Yeah.
considerably less terrifying, more like a reunion.
It definitely adds a layer of warmth and familiarity. Reinforces the idea that relationships are the permanent threads. Even if the individual lives, the compartments are temporary.
They also touched on writers, and why haven't more creative people explored this stuff?
Yeah, FW suggests that actually many know, on some intuitive level, creative minds often tap into these ideas, but confusions hamper realization. The noise of the ego, the limits of language, the weight of cultural disbelief. It all makes it incredibly hard to translate that deep intuition into a clear, coherent message that others can grasp.
So the knowing is there, but articulating it is the challenge. Makes sense.
And then, just before wrapping up the section, FW gives them a quick check-in on their own well-being.
Physical health.
Bode's good, so positive outlook there.
Mental health.
Subject to adjustments. Needs work, basically. And he gives the keys. Flexibility vital, but also purpose unchanged.
Be adaptable, bend with the wind, but don't lose sight of your core reason for being here, that mission of expansion.
Exactly. You need both fluidity and steadfastness.
And then he delivers the first sort of formal lesson, a guiding principle.
Yeah, a concise takeaway message from FW. Love, even the transitory, which is image of permanent.
Oh, that's beautiful. Love this temporary, fleeting life because its very impermanence reflects the eternal pattern of the whole mind.
Perfectly put. It brings all those philosophical threads together. Love the compartment because it's a reflection of the whole. So the session is winding down, but there's this one last bit, isn't there, where they dip their toes into prophecy.
Yeah, a brief look at world events, but FW is really cautious here.
Extremely cautious. He emphasizes right away that this kind of future gazing is sketchy and difficult to access properly, managing expectations.
Okay, so with that caveat, what do they ask?
They ask for the main world event for the coming decade. That would be 1964 through 1973 from their perspective.
Yeah, the protection.
It's dramatic and very much couched in the Cold War language of 1963. He says, China Wall collapses, hordes rush out.
Whoa. The China Wall collapses, hordes rush out. That sounds big. Does he mean war?
They asked that specifically, war with U.S. He clarifies, not war necessarily, but suggests an internal upheaval within China itself.
An internal upheaval leading to a massive outward movement. Given the context of Mao's China then, predicting internal collapse and a potential flood of people or influence, That's a huge prediction, even if vague.
It definitely implies a major shift driven by internal factors within China. But again, FW immediately pulls back, repeats all this sketchy and difficult, not fully accessible.
And they ask why. Why is this future stuff harder to get than, say, detailed names from the 4th century BC?
And his answer gives us this final brilliant metaphor for how channeling or this kind of communication actually works.
Metaphor.
He explains the difficulty lies partly with Jane's subconscious, which he says is a help, but describes it as corridor with many doors.
A corridor with many doors. I love that. So the subconscious isn't just a messy basement of memories.
No, it's like this complex interface, an architectural space within consciousness. To get the facts about Mesopotamia, maybe FW goes through one specific door, easily accessed.
But to get sketchy future geopolitical data,
He might have to navigate a whole different set of doors, maybe doors that are harder to open, or lead to rooms where the view is foggy. It makes the access variable, slower, less clear, depending on the type of information.
it turns the medium's mind into this functional, navigable, dimensional tool. That's incredible.
It really is. And just before signing off, there's one final confirmation about the process itself.
They ask if only Jane is receiving these messages.
Right, and FW replies, simply, both.
Both. So the questioner is also receiving information, maybe subconsciously, maybe intuitively. It's a partnership.
Exactly. Reinforces that shared dynamic. Then, the practical matter of the next meeting, 9 nights Sunday.
9 o'clock, Sunday night. Simple instruction.
And the very simple formal sign-off. Goodbye. Hashtag tech outro. Wow. Okay, so as we come up for air after that deep dive into just one session, session 3, there are maybe 3 core ideas that really stand out. Things we hope you, listening, can take away and chew on.
Yeah, number 1 for me has to be the sheer specificity of the personal history. We got names like Mother Rest, Worth, the city sepia, and that unforgettable, chilling detail. Death by 5 wolves.
Right. It suggests our soul's journey isn't some generic path, but this rich, detailed tapestry woven with specific events, specific people, even specific, sometimes brutal endings.
Definitely.
Okay, number 2.
The really clear link drawn between those past lives and present-day psychology. Jane's aggression traced back to unresolved historical rage, that amazing phrase, timidity has roots of rage.
And the questioner's isolation being an overcompensation for being overly worldly before. It suggests our current struggles, our flaws, aren't just random. They might be echoes of specific past efforts or failures that we're here to work on now.
And that work requires our conscious free will. That's key.
Absolutely. And the third big takeaway.
For me, it's the reframing of death. It's not instant oblivion, not necessarily instant enlightenment either. It's described as this process.
Yeah, gradual realization with stages of withdrawal and arrival. And maybe most importantly, you're not alone. You're greeted by acquaintances from other lives. It makes the transition feel potentially familiar, guided, even welcomed.
Yeah, much less frightening. So, specificity of history, the past informing the present psychology, and a more complex, potentially comforting view of death. That's a lot from one session.
It really is an incredibly dense and personalized view of the soul's journey and why we even bother with physical life, this focused learning within the larger eternal mind.
Okay, so building on that final, really potent image, the subconscious as a corridor with many doors. Here's something to think about. If your own mind has these potential doors leading to what FW called ascending knowledge, images of immortality, what kind of knowledge, what kind of insights might you access if you consciously decided to treat your mind like that corridor? If creativity, like the questioner's art, is meant to bring back glimpses of other dimensions, what unique dimension could your specific work, your passions, potentially unlock and share?
That's a great question to sit with. And if this material sparks your curiosity, we really do encourage you to study it further. It's truly profound stuff.
Definitely. Our source for this entire deep dive was, of course, the Seth Material, specifically from the Early Sessions Book 1.
And we must credit the publisher, the New Awareness Network. They've done incredible work keeping this material available.
Absolutely. And if you want to explore the Early Sessions Book 1 yourself or other foundational works by Jane Roberts, you should definitely check out the New Awareness Network website and bookstore. It's at https://sethcenter.com, the-early sessions.
That's sethcenter.com/the-early-sessions. Highly recommended to get the full context.
It really is worth diving into the books directly.
Well, thank you for joining us for this really extensive look into one of the earliest and arguably most foundational sessions of the Seth Material.
It's been fascinating, and the deep dive will continue next time. Goodbye for now.